Hi everyone, this is Dr. Kibet. I'm ready to welcome you to my class. Today, our topic is Principles of Guidance and Counseling. First and foremost, let's look at the definition of principle. The term principle means a basic general truth that is the foundation of something or a guiding rule for personal behavior. Guidance is concerned with the systematic development of the individual. Every human individual is the architect or an author of his own or his other world. The direction one's life takes comes from the choices one makes. So at this point, I want us to look at the basic principles of guidance. This includes the following. One, respect. The guidance practitioner should be at all times display the basic sense of respect to the client and entire recognition of the client's right to self-determination. This means taking into account the dignity, the integrity, and sovereignty of the client in relation to their choices and decisions on various aspects of their lives. Meanwhile, the practitioner must stimulate the challenge the client to reflect upon his or her own choices and opportunities. Equality. During the guidance process, the client should be met with equality and without bias or prejudice related to gender, age, religion, disabilities, social status, and educational and ethnic background. The other principle is the principle of openness. The client should always be made aware of the context, framework, and conditions under which the guidance process proceeds. If the guidance counselor is obligated to pass on information, this must be made clear to the client. The other principle is the principle of confidentiality. There must always be a mutual sense of trust and intimacy between the client and the guidance practitioner. If the guidance practitioner must discuss the client's situation with other parties, this must only be done with the permission of the client in question. The other principle is the principle of independence. Guidance should be aimed at addressing the interests of the client. It should be neutral and independent of political, institutional, and other special interests. Now, having looked at the principles of guidance, now let us look at the principles of counseling. Counseling usually involves helping people to address specific problems that are troubling them. It often involves helping a person to develop different or more positive ways of coping with life. Counseling helps the client to move towards a greater level of self-acceptance and self-understanding. So let's look at the principles of counseling. Principles of counseling should be taken into account, and these are the following. One, establish relationships. It is essential to establish a relationship of mutual trust with a client. This encourages the client to freely express themselves, which helps the counselor give appropriate help. Principle number two is communicate at their level. The counselor should endeavor to empathize with the client and should help them to tell their story. This involves listening very carefully. The other principle of counseling is positive environment. It is important for the counselor to provide a positive environment for the client to express themselves. The client's emotional response must be managed in a way that calms their feelings. The counselor should learn how to tackle the client's negative feelings or hostile demeanor while maintaining a friendly and open atmosphere. The other principle is understand social influence. It is important for the counselor to understand how social influence greatly affects behavior. For example, a counselor should endeavor to assess the level of peer pressure operating in an individual. The other principle is show passion. Compassion is essential if meaningful communication is to take place. It encompasses empathy for as well as listening carefully to the client. Also provide correct information. Any information available to the client should be correct. This helps them make informed decisions. And finally, endeavor to build, endeavor to upbuild. Counseling should always be done in such a way that the client is helped to recognize and build on their strengths as well as to develop a positive attitude to life. So that marks the end of our class, which we have been looking at the principles of guidance and counseling. And that marks the end of our class. Thank you and bye-bye.